All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. Uh, my name is Kyle,
My name is Juan.
and this week as discussed, we're delving back into the world of superheroes, and we have done the first four episodes of the first season of the the spin-off of The Boys, Gen V. This show was released on Amazon Prime in September. And as of right now, it has a 7.8 out of 10 rating on IMDb. For those of you who don't know, this show is, as I said, it's a spinoff of The Boys. It takes place in that same world, and it's kind of like a college drama, but the school is all kids with superpowers, and they're in varying different majors, whether it be, especially if you know the world of The Boys, their own self-image is very important to them, so they can do things like crime fighting, they can do acting, they can do like social media stuff. It's very different majors than what we see in normal universities.
Yeah.
The show centers on Marie Moreau, I believe is her name. Yeah, she's a girl who she was in, basically her character. She was in a group, basically like a group home. She had killed her parents. Oh, and yeah, by the way, we're spoiling everything from the first four episodes of this show. So if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suggest you go and check it out.
The opening of the episode is
Yeah,
her discovering her power and brutally murdering her parents.
yeah. And after that happens, she's basically locked away in a group home, and until she's old enough, and she gets accepted to this Godolkin University, they call it, or God U, and she goes there, and her goal is to be a crime fighter, be a superhero, and become a part of the Seven. Now,
Black female in the Seven.
yes, she would be the first black female in the Seven. She's a very strong character. I really like Marie and what they've done with her. She's played by a young woman named Jazz Sinclair. Now, the majority of the actors in this show are very young. Again, it's a college show, so a lot of them you probably won't know, and if you do, it'll be. I know a couple of them, as my co-host had mentioned to me off air. You said at least two of them were in Sabrina. I think the new, not the original.
Yeah. Yeah. The dark Netflix version.
Which I have not yet seen, and I'm not sure if I ever will.
Not bad.
But yeah, so again, they're very young actors. Some of them, they're Chance Perdomo plays Andre, Lizzie Broadway plays Emma, Maddie Phillips plays Kate, and then you have London Thor and Derek Liu, who play a character named Jordan Lee. We'll get into him, her a little later.
A.
They, yes, they. Um, but other than that, there's really, I mean, there's not very many recognizable faces.
Well, I mean, recognizable faces not in the young main cast, but some of the staff. Yeah, you definitely know from other things, at least from the first episode.
Well, but are you referring to Clancy Brown?
Yeah.
I like Clancy Brown. I think he did a really good job in this as well. And I was shocked. I don't think it's until episode 2 that you see him, but you get to see Sean Patrick Thomas, and I don't think I've seen him on screen since Save the Last Dance.
Oh,
And that feels like forever ago, to be honest.
he was in quite a few things in the early 2000s. Him being the star of Save the Last Dance, but he was in like the Barber Shop trilogy. He was in something else. I just can't think of it. But yeah, no, he was in quite a few things just in the early 2000s, but not so much as a lead.
Yeah, the thing I remember him from is Save the Last Dance, and you're right. I'm sure I saw things where um, he was a side character, almost a little bit more of a cameo role, but none of them come to mind. To me, it's just that one movie, really. As soon as I saw him, I just kind of had to chuckle and be like, "Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad he's still working and still
Yeah,
getting out there."
I made a joke saying that I bet you the mom is Julia Stiles, Oscar's mom.
Well,
That'd be
I would die laughing if that happened, to be honest.
they have to do that. They have to do that just as a picture.
And I think it would be a really good
Be
thing for people our age who remember that movie and were fans of that movie when it came out. But
Yeah,
another cast member that I didn't realize until, like I had said to you before, um, when you pause what you're watching on Amazon Prime, a lot of times it shows some of the cast members who are in the scene along the bottom of the screen, and it popped up and it said playing Golden Boy, or Luke is his given name, was Patrick Schwarzenegger, and I immediately had to go on and check, and sure enough, that is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son in this show. I had no idea, and but as soon as I found that out, I took a closer look at him, and I said, yeah, I can definitely see it.
yeah. I knew he was going to be part of the show because I have my ear to the ground to pop culture news and all the latest whispers and rumors and whatnot. And yeah, he was part of the cast for a while. And yeah, when he came on screen, I instantly knew who it was because he looks like his dad. Definitely in certain angles, and definitely when he smiles. I really like the character. I think he's a really good actor. He very believable as this torn like personality. Way better than his dad. Just want to put that out there.
That's not difficult, in my opinion.
Not difficult at all, but still, he yeah, I think he knocked it out of the park for the time that he was there for.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job. He plays that. I mean, first you see him and he's kind of like he seems like that cocky because again his nickname is fucking Golden Boy, so obviously he is. So at this university they have rankings of all their students and um, their abilities and their proclivities within the university and things like that, and how well they think they're going to do upon graduation or leaving the university and things like that. And he is ranked number one, and that's no surprise. But originally, when you see him, you kind of think, oh, he's this typical egotistical, and then he kind of starts to befriend this Marie, who's a freshman, and I don't know if he's a junior or a senior or what he is, but he starts to befriend her, and then you kind of see like, okay, maybe there's more to this guy that then kind of meets the eye, and then all of a sudden it takes a turn, and you see how conflicted he is internally, but you don't really know why or what is driving that conflict within himself, and he portrays that very well. Like, yeah, I thought he was excellent on screen, especially for I don't know how much experience he has in terms of I wouldn't say he's a leading man, but more of a prominent role in a movie or television show. But I thought he did a fantastic job overall.
Yeah, he had enough personality there. And yeah, his acting chops were pretty good. I would like to see him in something else for sure. I can, the rumors as he's tied to a DC character. Uh, I hope he gets it.
Yeah, that would you were like you say you were saying that off mic, and I the more I think about it, I think it might be it'd be very interesting to see him portray that role, and as skeptical as I would be, because there's always one person that I would imagine in that, even though he's too old now. But well,
Hmm.
I really can't have that have my cake and eat it too with that. But yeah, so about this show, like I said, Marie is the main character. she finds out as a child that she has the power to control and manipulate blood,
Yeah.
whether it be hers or somebody else's. And as Juan said, she finds this out by, it's actually the scene as she gets her first period, and her mother tries to come into the bathroom to make sure she's okay, and she kind of panics and basically turns that blood into a projectile, killing her mother. And then her father comes in, and I don't know, she kind of just makes him almost like explode.
She turns all the blood that was like that came out of her mom. She turns it all into like sharp projectile things, and it just like exploded, and it caught him like shrapnel.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was crazy.
it's. I mean, they haven't.
Hell of a way to get you pulled right into the show.
Yeah, because when it first started, and you just see the family and the two little girls, and they're just kind of watching TV and this and that, I kind of went like, is this picking up on like, is this picking up in the middle of something that I kind of missed, or did
It
I
like
start it at the right spot, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, holy
it
shit.
pulls you in and sets the tone like right away, man. And I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, in terms of setting the tone, I have to imagine that most people who are going to watch this show have previously watched The Boys and are fan or would be a fan of The Boys, and that show has its own very unique tone by itself in terms of the way violence, gore, and sexuality are treated. And this show is, I mean, it turns out within the first few minutes, it is no different.
No. Even the way the boys open the first episode is
Oh, Jesus.
somewhat similar in a way when it comes to
Yeah,
setting the
yeah.
tone of what this world is. It's very bloody.
Yes, that's an understatement. But I will say that as I watched the show, like I said, I became I still am quite a big fan of Marie and her character. They haven't, as of yet, gotten into like what their superhero names would be. Like the only one I think they have is Andre would be they want to call him Polarity again because that was his dad's, because he has the same abilities as his father and things like that. But they haven't really named any of them, and all I could think of is when they started to show what Marie's powers was, I said in my head, I said her fucking superhero name should be Blood Rain.
Or Bloody Mary, since
Well, I think they would go with Bloody Marie.
yeah, it would be a play on that, right?
Yeah.
And polarity, I kind of like that. I mean, for like a Magneto ripoff,
Yeah, because it's
I
him and
think
his
that's
father metal manipulation.
a really good name. I'm surprised I never heard that name before. You know?
Yeah, it is. Because originally when they first referred to his dad as that, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to be the new Polarity," and I went, obviously Polarity is magnetic, and I just kind of went like, do they have, are their powers in terms of magnetism, or is it just simply metal? So I looked it up, and it's metal manipulation. It's a very similar power to what Magneto has in X-Men.
Yeah, it's fucking Black Magneto. Which is cool, man. That's cool power.
Oh, it's a very cool power. And then in terms of the rest of the main 4 or 5 characters, you have Emma, who is Marie's roommate.
She's my
She, what?
my favorite character.
Emma?
Yeah.
I like Emma a lot as well. She has the ability to shrink, or nope, just to shrink. I believe. Yeah, she shrinks, and the way she does that, however, is basically by being bulimic and purging and causing herself to throw up. Um, it's a very very interesting way to do that, and the show actually addresses that in terms of the way it can be viewed as an eating disorder, and it's I know it can be a very sensitive topic for people out there who have dealt with this in the past or have family members and things like that, and they actually deal with it in a very, what I thought was a a very stand-up way, and they kind of look at it head on, and it's not beating around the bush or things like that. I mean, she does say that it's not an eating disorder because that's the only way that she can shrink. It's just some people view it as soon as they find out about it, they look at her very differently and they start treating her differently, almost with pity. And you can see how that would parallel if that were to come out about somebody in our world.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I could see the struggle there. Yeah, I like the fact that they tied her powers with this thing. It's a way to address mental illness without really shoving it in your face. Um, yeah, I really like the act. I've never seen her in anything, but for me, she like stole the show in the first 4 episodes at least. Yeah, I'm really digging her character.
Yeah, I like her as well. Another character that I'm a big fan of is Jordan. Jordan is a character who their abilities are kind of the basic, like super strength, and I believe they have like I don't even know how to describe it.
Each one has
Not
power.
pardon.
I think each one has a different power.
It might be. I looked it up. I looked it up last night. I just off the top of my head, I cannot remember if it's like it's not force fields, but it's almost like I think it's almost like energy pushing as well.
Yeah.
Now the reason. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think when Jordan's a female, she's able to do the force field projectile things, but when they switch to a male, I think it's like just basic super strength, durability. That's what
Yeah,
I
that
that's what it seems like. They didn't out address it, but that's what
no, they really don't sit down and look at different characters and be like, okay, this is this person's stats and this is what they can do, and so you kind of have to just kind of figure it out, I guess, as you go along.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is a character that they can switch back and forth between male and female at will. Excuse me. They do it in a way that I guess there are certain parts where not that she takes advantage of it, but there is I did kind of chuckle when there's the scene where they go out to the bar and they go out and he's a male, and then all of a sudden she comes and sits down and they say, "What, you didn't want to be a guy anymore today?" And she looks at him and goes, "Well, I get more free drinks this way." And
Yeah.
I just kind of chuckled, and I like the fact that they go back and forth with that, and it deals with those and with those the issues that are in our world today, whether we like it or not. But I really like the way this character is portrayed. I think that both London Thor and Derek Liu portray the character very well. And the two people that they cast, I mean, in my opinion, they could pass for brother and sister. So the fact that they're both playing the same person, just a male and a female version of it, I thought the casting was spot on for that character. And
Okay.
I'm
Well, since I finished the series and you haven't, you haven't really seen all of the male version of Jordan's like acting range. To me, I think the person isn't as strong as the other actors, and it kind of sticks out. At least in the emotional aspect, like the emotional scenes where we really have to bring the emotion. I think he seems like CW level actor, and not to diss those level of actors. It just seems a little TV actorish, too not as just simply not as strong, and it sticks out at least in the emotional scenes.
okay. Well, actually, I'm kind of glad you said that.
I love the female as like version of them. Uh, she's great. Like I really enjoy that whenever she's on screen acting with the actors.
Yeah, that's what I was. I'm kind of glad that you had said that because I do prefer the her over him the way it's portrayed.
Yeah,
Um,
much stronger actor.
yeah, and I feel that I feel the way they portray it, at least in the first half of the season, it's more she is the main, at least the way she is at school. I don't know what her character was like growing up and things like that, and before they came to school, before the show began. But I feel that she's portrays herself more as a female throughout the show, and I think that's a benefit because as much as like I said, I did enjoy his portrayal. I just thought hers, even in those first few, was a step above. Um, there hasn't been many emotional things as of yet to notice that, but I haven't noticed anything glaring with him. But I mean, I'm going to trust your word, and
No,
I'm
yeah,
sure I'll see it as I continue.
yeah. Rewatching the first 4 episodes, you don't really see it yet, but it's coming. You'll definitely notice there's a difference in level of skill there.
Okay.
But he's not terrible. It's not like I disliked the character. It didn't take me out whenever they were on screen. You could just tell there was a difference in skill there. And
Yeah.
hopefully next season, because it's been confirmed, they just get stronger as an actor.
Yeah, that would be a hope because yeah, it's I'm I really like to see where this character can go. And I mean, if you set it up in the first season that they can be male or female, there would have to be a real big change or reason to be like, nope, they have to stay this one gender for the rest of the show for whatever reason. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to spoil anything. I almost did, but it happens in the last few moments of the 4th episode. They kind of, um,
I know,
and
I
Marie kind of kiss.
yeah,
It's definitely explored further in the later episodes, but yeah,
okay, well,
it's better when it's the woman, like the female version, and Marie. Just it's a better, more chemistry.
yeah, I will say I did notice a bit of chemistry there, but they also have kind of like a, I guess hatred's the wrong word, but kind of a in the first bit of mutual distrust, a mutual dislike of one another, and yet it's almost one of those tropes of like, well, these two are either going to end up killing each other or fucking each other. Like that's just the way it's
Yeah, that
written.
rival slash like love hate type relationship.
Exactly. And now to round out our main group of protagonists is Kate, played by Maddie Phillips, and she is the girlfriend of Golden Boy, um, and she has the power of basically suggestion. If she touches you, like her hand to your skin, she can basically tell you to do whatever she wants you to do. So therefore, you constantly see her throughout the show wearing gloves because she doesn't want to accidentally say something to somebody or hurt someone, or especially one of her close friends. Um, this is a character that I do like. However, I don't know if it's the way the character is written, but there are many scenes where they kind of show her and she's supposed to look, I don't know if she's supposed to look shocked or surprised, but she just almost has a blank stare. And it almost looks like the lights are on but nobody's home. Now again,
Hmm.
I don't know if that was kind of thought out, but that's kind of just what I. Now that's not nothing against the character because it actually does work for what she's portraying, but that's just kind of something that I had kind of picked up on while watching this.
Yeah, I could doing a rewatch and knowing things about the character, you act it might explain certain things that she does throughout the first 4 episodes. Um her I I enjoyed her character. It wasn't like she's not stand out in any way, but again, I don't really dislike the character or even the actor. I think she's good at what she's doing. I think yeah, she's doing a hell of a good job portraying the character she's portraying.
Yeah, I have, like I say, I have no issue with it. I think she's doing a decent job. There are just certain times.
It's hard to explain without spoiling.
Well, then don't spoil it. We're only spoiling the first four.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, there's some revelations that definitely happen. I
Um,
just had to dance around right there, right quick.
well, I appreciate that, as I'm sure many of our listeners do as well. Um, so throughout this show, basically, like I said, they're at a university where they're all just trying to go about their everyday lives and attend classes, things like that. But then, of course, there's the extracurriculars. There's they go out to a bar and get into some shit. They end up while hitting on a woman. Andre accidentally seriously injures another patron, and they all run, and Marie basically has to stay behind, and she ends up saving this person's life. And when she gets back to school the next day, she finds out that she is going to be expelled for this because she is new, because she's the freshman, and all these other people who she was with are destined to one day take up a role as a hero in the Seven, and they don't want any of those kids being jeopardized because of a stupid night of them doing drugs and things like that. So they're going to let Marie take the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, that was your yeah, that was kind of fucked up. But it shows you how the school works pretty quickly. But knowing how this boys universe is, it's not surprising.
No, not at all. I mean, if you watch The Boys, you see a character like Homelander just blatantly murder people at a rally and people cheer for him. And it's like, as long as you're number one on the popularity charts, you can literally get away with murder.
Well, it's that plus they have these, this Homelander has a bunch of PR people, you know, manipulating the story to make it appear that he can do no wrong.
Yeah, that seems to that's the whole Boys universe. Is Vought just basically seems to be like they portray them throughout in the show The Boys as like an actual uh, a company that does things and provides things, but in reality they just seem like they manage superheroes and protect their images. And you can tell that the way this university is run, I believe it's run by Vought, and it's just the exact same way. And they're looking out for, again, those rankings. They're looking out for their top ranked students, and anybody else who isn't part of that group be damned.
Yeah, pretty much. If you don't if you're not you're a nobody, they definitely treat you as such.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go very far, which, that's how, at least, how part of the world works in certain ways.
Oh, absolutely, and it's unfortunate, but it is reality, and it's like you say, our world nowadays. It seems like kids nowadays, all they want to do is they want to become YouTubers and TikTokers and things like that, and what matters most is how many likes you get and things like that, and that's exactly the type of world that these two shows portray, and that's their main goal is to get fall. I don't know how many times in this show you hear them talking about, oh, this is going to go on Instagram, or how many followers do you have, or this is going to get so many likes, and it seems like that's their main goal.
Yeah, especially well, even like Emma's she's affected by that aspect of how the world works today and social media and whatnot. She was a YouTube, I guess, popularity in that world, and
Little Cricket.
yeah, and I believe it was the fourth episode where, or even the third episode. I think it is the third episode where she confides in someone, and that person who she considered a friend at one point puts her business out there on social media that she's like that she had what she has to do to shrink,
Yes.
and it completely devastated her.
Well, and then the
You tell like the character is a character that needs to be liked,
yes.
and it
But the funniest thing is then she brings it up to her and she's like, "You just fucking blasted my business all around for everybody to hear." And her response is she goes, "Well, you didn't tell me it was a secret. Like I thought I was doing you a favor and I was going to put this out there and people would kind of rally to the cause and this and that." And it's like, "No, you were clearly just doing this because you wanted likes, you wanted followers,
those
you
sympathy.
wanted it to benefit you."
Yeah,
And I
and
mean, even in terms of the, like you say, her YouTube show, people start kind of ridiculing her a little bit and kind of, "Oh, you're Little Cricket, you're this and this," and then it shows a scene of her sitting in her dorm room, and the whole screen is just filled with comments of the
she's full
YouTube, and they're
comments. Yeah,
she's focusing on everything negative because it's, "Oh, this is lame, this isn't entertaining, you're this, you're that, you're," and she's really letting it get to her. And I'm sure that there are people out there who work incredibly hard at things like that, and I'm sure they do that exact same thing. There could be a million positive comments and there's one negative one, and that's the one that they're going to focus on.
yeah, yeah. I know a few people personally that that do that exact thing. So I appreciate that the writing in this show can touch on so many relatable topics in today's world and put it in a story that's, it's not in your face, it's not, you know, pointing fingers and going, "Oh, what about," I appreciate that they blended it into the story very well.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It is. It's like you say. It's not. It's not actually. They don't come right out and say it, but if you watch it and pay attention, you can see it, and it's made to just be a part of the world as opposed to, like you say, a point and, "Oh, look at this and check this out," and things like that. I do have a note here that it's kind of funny that I wrote this down, and um, I put, "It's funny watching the show knowing how fucked up the Seven are in terms of the world of the boys and the politics of being in the Seven, and all these kids want is to be a part of that, and they have absolutely no idea what would be in store for them if they were to actually get it. Like, they all just see it as, I mean, probably the way that a lot of us would see playing a professional sport or being an actor or things like that. And a lot of people think it's all just glitz and glamour and this and that. But having watched the boys and seeing the way they're treated and the way, like you say, the PR firm and the politics of that job and working for Vought and things like that, and that's like all these kids want to do. It's kind of like you almost want to reach into the TV screen and like smack them and be like, "This is not what you want to do."
Yeah, even though they are, you know, at least, yeah, they had ideas of how the Seven worked, and they really believed that these people are doing good. They had this image, right? But yeah, they do not know what they're really getting into if they get into that position. Yeah, you kind of do want to go through the TV screen and kind of shake them. But yeah, I mean, it's their mistake to have, and if I just, I just appreciate, I just appreciate the show and how it just takes us for a ride. I just enjoy it.
No, I couldn't agree more. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it and continuing on when it comes back next season. I can't I can't believe that we've been recording for as long as we have, and we haven't brought up the fact that basically the catalyst for what ends up going on in this show. So I mentioned that after the incident at the bar, Marie goes back to school and she's basically told that she's going to be expelled. And she kind of leaves the office, and I think it's right away she just kind of like is walking away, and she kind of says to herself like, no, fuck this. Is that not how it, and she goes back? Is that not how it goes, or has she gone back for a different reason?
Well, she kind of has like a moment to herself where she kind of breaks down, and I think then she goes back.
Yeah,
It
that's what I thought it
some
was.
time has passed, maybe like just a few hours.
Okay. So yeah, she goes back to Clancy Brown's office, who had um, he's not the dean of students, so I don't know why he's the one expelling her, but he's in charge of the criminology or crime fighting um, aspect of the university. And as she goes to his office, she opens the door and she sees Golden Boy hugging um, hugging this professor in flames, because that's his ability, is basically he can become like the Human Torch, and he burns this professor to an absolute crisp. Of
Yeah.
course, upon seeing this, she does what pretty much everybody else would do, and she just kind of panics and runs away. And so he chases her, and upon that, Jordan is the character that kind of interferes and kind of tries to help her and fights him off a bit, and the fighting ends up spilling out to outside. And the only thing that makes Golden Boy stop is when Andre comes up, because the two of them are best friends, and he basically, you can tell that there's something that he wants to say but can't. And when I say that, I'm referring to Luke, or Golden Boy. And he gives Andre a hug. He says, "I love you," and whispers something in his ear. We don't know what. And then just takes off into the sky and basically commits suicide and just explodes in a spectacular rainstorm of blood and guts and things like that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the catalyst of where this show goes, or what kind of starts it off, is his suicide, and his friends trying to figure out why he did that.
Yeah. I mean, throughout the episode, at least episode one, with Golden Boy, you know something's up. Um, there's like when he's at the club, he has like this quick, I guess, hallucination of him being in like the woods, and he kind of snaps out of it. Yeah, so you know that he's struggling with something. And just before Marie goes back into Clancy Brown's office, there's a scene of him entering Golden Boy entering the room with Clancy Brown. So you knew something probably was gonna happen. You just didn't know what was she was gonna walk into. Um, but yeah, I was not expecting that.
No, I mean, and like you say, when he has those visions, there's also there's also points where he's hearing a voice or voices, and he kind of it's kind of like, is everybody? He's looking around almost like, is everybody else hearing that? And it's like, no, it must just be me. But like you say, in terms of when he goes into the office, I really thought now, because I've watched a lot of things where you got like the jock, the egotistical big man on campus type thing. They want to make sure that their image is maintained and their rep and all this. So I really thought when he was going into the office that he was in on this whole thing of the cover up of her getting expelled to cover what him and his friends did the night before at the club. And it was going to be like kind of a sit down, like, yeah, are we okay? Like, you explain the whole thing to her. She's going to take the fall. We're all in the clear. And then that took, like you say, a complete 180. And it was like, well, this is nowhere close to what I thought was going to happen. And it really kind of threw me for a loop. And I kind of really wasn't sure where it was going after that.
Yeah, no, it's why I enjoy the first episode so much. Kind of like just the ability to pull you in and keep you in like making you want to watch episode 2 and beyond is it's the point of a first episode, which honestly some of the greatest shows, their first episode isn't really that good.
Yeah.
It's for, I appreciate this. I mean, only has 8 episodes, so I guess yeah, by the first episode it better pull you in. So I'll give it that. But yeah, this first episode is honestly I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't really have much negative critiques to it.
No, neither did I. Like you say, it does a very good job of keeping you. It it does a good job of, first off, like you said, pulling you in, but then it not just pulls you in, it keeps you captivated throughout the entire show and beyond. Because I'll be honest, every episode that has finished, I can't wait to start the next one, because the characters are written in such a compelling way that it makes me want to keep watching. And again, I think that these kids are portraying the characters in a very believable and a very um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not impactful, but like in a way that makes me want to continue watching and makes
Yeah,
me care and makes me care about them. To be honest, like,
we all have chemistry towards each other. You know what I mean? I think that makes a good show too. Is when the whole cast has chemistry and there's not too many um there's not too many characters in the show that don't interact well with each other. Yeah, it's another thing I quite appreciate.
yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, if you've got characters that are going to be on screen for multiple episodes at a time that span hours of a show, they need to have some kind of give and take and believability in their friendship or their attraction or things like that, depending on what you have the characters acting as. And I think that this show does that very well. They really do seem like a group of friends that would just be hanging out at a college or a university, whatever you want to call it. And I appreciate that, because it adds a whole different aspect and atmosphere to the show itself.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely believe that these people are friends outside of their work life.
Yeah. And I mean, even though they end up all basically becoming friends with Marie, at the very beginning, you can sense um, that jealousy that kids of that age would normally have, because she comes in as the hot shit kind of freshman. because immediately after the whole thing with Golden Boy, she's painted as the poster child for she's the hero who stopped him, and even though that's not true, um, and immediately she's put on this fast track with the university and eventually what they're hoping for to be Vought 2. They put her in these interviews and things like that to get her out there and to get her, again, because the way this show is, get her rankings up. And I just have one of the funniest lines in the show, and I believe it's when they're getting her ready for they're at one of the parties or benefits or something like that, and she's with the dean. She's kind of like her guest, and I can't remember who says it to her, but they say to Maria, they say, "You're like Pretty Woman without the ass fucking for money."
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah.
I almost had to pause the show. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, they definitely the show was a lot funnier than it needed to be. I thought it was funny. Yeah, yeah, episode 2 was pretty good. The hell, what the heck happened in that episode? Yeah. Shoot, what the heck happened in episode 2? I'm blanking, but I remember liking it. I think it just was one of those. It was just the aftermath of episode 1, and it nothing really stood out. I do remember liking it.
No, it was the second episode deals a lot with the mental health and, like you said, getting through the tragedy of the whole thing with Golden Boy, and where they do the that's where Emma is outed for the purging, and
Okay. Okay.
and also they get they get a few more hints about the woods. Now, for those of you, again, if you're not watching the show but listening to the podcast, first of all, I appreciate it. I appreciate the listening to the episodes, but you might be a little confused as to what we're talking about if you haven't watched this. So the woods that keep getting um, mentioned is early on in the show. Marie and Andre happen to be out, I guess, in terms of college shows, on the quad, and they see a guy just kind of running in security, or somebody is chasing him, and they don't know who he is or anything like that, and security ends up tackling him and kind of getting him subdued, and he's yelling about something about I can't go to the woods, or they're going to bring me back to the woods, and you really have no idea what that means. And as the first 4 episodes go on, you start to find out that it's the reason they call it the woods is because it's a facility where they're taking I don't know if they're students or just random people with ability. I think they're mainly students, and they're putting them in this facility where they're basically, you don't know what they're doing. It's just like they're throwing them in almost like a jail cell, and all of the walls inside of their cell as well as outside the window of their door are painted these rows of trees. So it looks like, just in terms of the way the decorations on the wall, it looks like you're quote unquote in the woods, and that's kind of the name that they have for this. And like I said, Golden Boy's death is a catalyst for them trying to dig deeper, because his friends don't believe for a second that he would have ever done this. And then once they find out about these woods things, they start to investigate that a little further, and they want to know more about these woods and what they mean and what significance they have, especially in terms of the university itself and whether or not they're behind it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. That's what happened. Um, yeah, that whole conspiracy thing, I kind of enjoyed. I Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that whole aspect. The fact that mm, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed episode 2, and the whole conspiracy, uncovering everything. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it adds a whole other layer to the show because without that, it's just a college drama with kids with abilities. So
Exactly.
it adds more for them to go in and do. And I mean, throughout, I don't know if it's episode 2 or 3, but you get um, another one of the students who is an absolute monster. If any of our listeners have ever watched the show Supernatural, um, the guy who plays Jack in Supernatural, whose name I'm just going to look it up here, is Alexander Calvert, plays Rufus in this show, and he has telepathic abilities, and he can control your thoughts, control your minds, things like that. And I mean, this whole scene, basically, I don't remember exactly how it leads up to this, but it's a scene with Marie, and I believe she goes to talk to him. Oh, that's what it is, because she's also looking for her sister. She wants to find out about her sister throughout all of this.
Well, I think they were
Because
for at this point it was she was looking for Emma.
yeah, because Emma's missing, but at the same time, she's also trying to find information about her sister. Because when when she was younger and discovered her powers, her sister basically told her to never speak to her again, and she hasn't. She hasn't contacted her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of her or find her. So she wants to use him because she's been told that he can locate people if I think it's if he has something that they've touched or they've owned, and he just kind of hones in on them. Um, so she basically goes to approach him for that, and he's at this point, I think he's still on the Emma thing. He hasn't even gotten to her sister, but he's like, oh yeah, I just need to see something, and you just here come sit next to me, and then I'll locate her. Well, then all of a sudden it's like she blinks and she wakes up in his dorm room, and he's wearing a bathrobe with nothing else, and it's a full frontal shot. So clearly it's implied that he's basically kind of like that he's raped her, which is like
Maybe about to. I don't know if it
I
happened.
I don't
I
know because
for that. I think it was leading up to it.
the way I took it is that he had already done it. I could be wrong. I mean, I could also just be immediately assuming the worst. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely not clear what happened, but
no, it's insinuated that either it did happen or, like you say, it's about to. But either way, it obviously portrays him as like a complete monster of a character.
yeah, it's basically if you gave a creep the worst power a creep could have.
That's that's exactly what it is. And I mean, being myself personally such a big fan the show Supernatural, as soon as I saw him at the beginning of the show, and it's like a recruitment video for the university, I said, "Oh fuck, it's Jack." Like, I really hope he's in this show for like a good amount of time. And then as soon as this scene happened, I was like, nope, I take that back 100%.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be in the Camp Rufus character. You
No,
want to be behind.
no. But
He got his just desserts, I guess.
oh,
Uh,
he 100% did, because what she does to him is just well, it's graphic to say the least. And she literally uses her, and she doesn't even know how she does it, because again, she doesn't have she has control, but she doesn't know 100% the limits of what her abilities are. I mean, and that's kind of understandable, but she
yeah,
basically makes his dick explode, and it's fucking graphic and gory, and
yeah.
yet at the same time, it's happening to this character that you absolutely despise, and you kind of almost chuckle when it happens. Like, yeah, you got what you deserved, and I feel zero sympathy about it.
Shit was crazy. That shit filled up with blood. Like it got humongous.
And just
Rest of
popped.
the shit exploded. That
It popped
shit.
like a balloon.
Oh my god. Talk about even though he deserved it, you still kind of like felt you felt it a little if you're a dude.
You felt it if you're a guy, but you didn't feel it in terms of sympathy.
No, 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 no. Definitely not in sympathy, but no, yeah, whenever that something like that happens to a person,
But
whether
it's another one of those things with these, and the boys is the same. Like, there's the like not so much the rape thing, but in terms of the sexuality portrayed in the show, it's so fucking weird.
yeah, but it paints a picture of reality. I think this is exactly what people would do if they had these powers. They would be doing
God,
some.
I hope not.
I, there's some creepy people out there already.
I
Power.
know, but I mean, like, and the scene particularly that I am fucking referencing is the guy that wants to hook up with Emma, and they're literally in bed, like, making out the whole thing, and he says to her, "I want you to get small," and basically he has her get small and then fucking bear hug his dick like she's climbing a goddamn tree. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
That's very weird. But hey, I don't kink shame.
I, you know what? I have no explanation, no comment, no. I have no idea. I just know when that scene came on, I was like, what is going? It was like the scene in The Boys where the guy goes inside.
Yeah, I mean, if if you've seen that, if you definitely are desensitized towards any phallic things that appear on screen when it comes to like the boys or Gen V.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just I kind of just chuckled the entire time. I was like, of course, this is this is
This is the route they would go. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not
right. This is what's gonna happen.
it wasn't surprising, but at the same time, I just kind of had to, like I say, just have a little chuckle and just shake my head, like, okay,
Yeah,
this is just par for the course at this point.
yeah. I guess that would be some dude's fantasy, because I guess he was a fan of her when he was young, and so yeah. I mean, it's a kink that would definitely arise in a world of superheroes, but seeing it with your own eyes is a little jarring and a little funny.
Yeah.
to say the least.
um, okay, but on a different note, um, so I want to get back more into a little bit the main storyline of this show in terms of like we were talking about the woods. Um, so it turns out that by by breaking into the professor's office after he's been killed, they find out that the that one of there's an I guess an inmate, a patient. I really don't know what they're kind of referred to as. One of them is actually Golden Boy's brother. Andre decides that he's going to take it upon himself between him and Kate, and they are going to try and get him out, or at least try and see if that would be even a possibility to do. And I think that's where the show is going to continue. Is I think the show is going to be is very focused on him, and by him, of course, I mean the brother, and what the implications are for him in this world, and the powers that he has, and the reason he was locked up, and things like that. Now, obviously, you've watched more than I have, so you would have those answers that I do not, and I don't want to know those answers.
Well, I'm about to spoil it. No, I'm joking. Yeah, they definitely. That's an ongoing thread throughout the entire first season. I'll leave it at that.
Because I found that that was another one of my favorite scenes, actually, with Emma in it. Is on when Andre gets in touch with her and basically says, "I need you, not need, but I would request if you would be willing to do this to get Small and go into this facility, which they find out is actually below the campus of the school."
Yeah.
And he says, "I want you, if you're willing, to get Small and to try and sneak your way in there, basically, and just do a little recon, kind of see where he is, see what we would have to do to get him out, things like that." And she does. She goes in and she sneaks in on his dinner tray, and that whole scene with her and Sam is the brother's name. I really liked of them, the two of them getting to know each other, and I thought it was pretty funny. And even her character's laughing when he's going, "No, you're not real," and she's like, "Yes, I'm real." And he says, "Okay, well then, what was my favorite TV show as a kid?" And she's like, "I have no fucking idea because I wasn't there because I'm a real person. Like I'm not in your imagination. So how would I ever possibly know that?" And I found that pretty amusing as I watched it.
Yeah, as the more they interact, the more chemistry they have with one another. I like whenever they're on screen together. Yeah, they definitely their chemistry, and I mean just the fact that Sam doesn't really know much about things and the fact that
About anything, yeah.
yeah, it adds a lot of humor to their interactions. I liked it. It's cute. It's cute.
It is, and again, it's a very endearing way for her character to be portrayed as well, in terms of like she sees this guy and she wants to help him, but at the same time, I think that she's kind of thinking like, oh, he's kind of cute, and um, and she just there's that feeling there between them. I mean, I think that it might blossom into something. I will say though, in the scene where it shows that like they're having a conversation, this and that, and then all of a sudden the alarm goes off. I don't know what triggered that, because it seems like they had been talking for quite a while, and then all of a sudden. But I mean, whatever caused it, whether it be cameras in his room or anything like that, um, that was a very interesting scene when the guard comes in and she takes it upon herself, while small, to crawl through his ear and out the other side, killing him in the process. And then you just see her standing in his eardrum, just covered head to toe in blood.
Yeah,
That was a very jarring image.
yeah. Uh, what a way to end. I think that's how the episode ends.
Not quite. I actually have my note for the end of the episode is the carnage in that fucking hallway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay,
Because
yeah.
the end of the episode is the doctor, and then this is when you find out, or you really find out, it's confirmed that the dean of the school is kind of behind this, and she's saying to this doctor, um, like we need to lock this down and get this kind of taken care of and figured out type thing. And she just looks down the hallway, and as the camera slowly pans backwards, you just see probably 6 or 7 bodies and just pools and pools of blood and body parts. And clearly Sam did this on his way out and just massacred everybody and anybody that got in his way.
Yeah. It shows you how much of a problem that this Sam person can cause when left checked.
Well, and I don't know if they actually said it, but it almost seems like there's a possibility that he could be stronger in terms of powers than his brother, the Golden Boy, was, which is interesting because if his brother was ranked number 1 and they've got Sam in this facility, either they're just trying to keep him away from the general public because he's too powerful, or there's something wrong upstairs that actually scares them.
Without spoiling, they definitely address that head on. But yeah, no, yeah, Sam, the character is okay. I
He
think
seems very childlike from the little bit that I
yeah,
saw. And again, like you said, he doesn't know a lot about the world because he's in captivity.
yeah, it doesn't help that the actor kind of looks like a grown man boy.
You know who? Okay, I thought for a split second when I first saw him, because he's got the long kind of wavy hair, and I thought it was Evan Peters for a split second.
Oh, really?
Now I think it's because both of those guys kind of, you could say they both kind of have a child, like a not a childlike demeanor, but a very very babyish face.
Yeah.
And I just for a split second I was, is that Evan? No, there's no way. He'd be way too old to play in this if they're trying to get age appropriate people.
Yeah. No, I could see it now that you like mention it, but no, yeah, he definitely, to me, he just looks like he like a grown, like a young man, but still a boy face.
No, I know what you mean.
So yeah, no, they I think they casted a pretty spot on person to play that character.
And I would say that I find it to be pretty believable brother casting between him and Luke. I wouldn't say they're close enough that you would think, oh, they could be almost like twins, because they're not supposed to be twins. But I think they look somewhat alike enough that they could pass for brothers.
I just wish there was more time with them to really see. I just needed more.
Well, I'm hoping as the season goes on, and if the whole issue with Sam isn't rectified by the end of the season, that even next season they do more. I'm hoping that there are some flashbacks where you can kind of see the two of them play off of one another, because also that would get Schwarzenegger back in the show even for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want. I can't spoil anything. Well, yeah, they take the character in a direction. That's all I'll say.
Well, that's not helpful, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't even want to give you a hint, but it's interesting to say the least, and you don't see it coming.
Okay.
But no, I appreciated that character in that aspect. I think he blames the Compound V for giving him or causing whatever's going on with him mentally. But I think even if he hadn't got the Compound V, I think he was just one of those people that was going to have mental issues.
And then the Compound V
it was just a coincidence.
He's now having to deal with powers on top of the mental health issues.
Yeah. That's what I believe. It could,
it's very possible, because at least in terms of the show, there's nothing that has been said or stated in terms of whether it be this show or The Boys that this Compound V can be attributed to those things in terms of mental health or things like that. Now, again, I'm going to go back, and for anybody who hasn't watched The Boys or anything like this, Compound V is a synthetic drug that was injected into babies. Their parents would volunteer for this, usually for money, I believe. They would just get paid for it. And the kids were injected with this, and later in life, it presented itself in different abilities and powers to allow them to become the superheroes that they currently are.
Yeah.
And even there are scenes where you hear some of these people, because again, they're just fucking teenagers, they're kids, and they're talking about, oh, your parents never gave a shit about you. They were willing to have you injected with this stuff as a baby just for a fucking paycheck and this and that. And so you can tell that while many of them are thankful to have these abilities, they also hold a lot of resentment towards their parents for allowing allowing this Compound V to be injected into them in the first place. Because as babies, they had no say in it, obviously.
Yeah, they definitely are touching base on that. Not so much, not a whole lot in the show. They really touch upon it, but yeah, it's definitely brought up in the show, and just adds to the level of complexity that these characters are and the things that they have to deal with. It's a lot.
There's a lot of, again, I watched The Boys, and as much as I love that show, it's pretty cut and dry. We're a group of people who dislike superheroes. We think that they're all more or less evil and pieces of shit.
Yeah. The characters
and we're going to do whatever we can or whatever we have to do to kind of take them down. Whereas this show, and I think, again, it is because of their age and them going through schooling and things like that, there is a lot more complexities because there are scenes that involve the resentment towards their parents, or the resentment towards the way the university views them, or their peers, or social media, or there are so many different aspects that don't come into play in a show like The Boys, where it's just, we don't like them, we're going to kill them, end of story. Now, that being said, I probably would still, at this point, would still say I prefer The Boys overall. But I do like the direction this show is going, and what I'm getting out of it is, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, had it come out the same time as The Boys season 1, I might have Gen V over it just a little bit, just because they have powers. And I think the one thing holding The Boys back is the fact that the writers have to constantly write these human characters out of these situations with these superheroes. It starts over time, it starts to become like a little unbelievable in a sense. Uh I love both. I think right now I have the Boys a little bit higher just because I've had more time with said characters.
Yeah.
But I mean, if season 2 of Gen V is anywhere near the season 1, I, my thoughts might change.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that as well. And I mean, another thing that I really like about this show, for example, is because they're all such young characters, they use these actors that are, for the most part, unknowns. Um, and when you're dealing with characters like this, I think it's very beneficial, because now the big one that I'm gonna point to in we keep comparing it to The Boys, where it's impossible not to, because it's literally a spin-off of that show. Um, so in The Boys, you get Carl Urban, who I'm a huge fan of Carl Urban. Um, but when you see him in a role, it's immediately, oh, that's Carl Urban. I know him from Star Trek and Doom and Lord of the Rings and all these other things. Whereas with these guys, because they're young and I don't know them from anything, I immediately just see the character they're playing, as opposed to, oh, remember when they did this, or remember when they did that, or, and I think that that's a big selling point for a TV show. Movies, not so much, because movies you can kind of suspend disbelief for a couple of hours and it is what it is. But for a TV show where you're probably or hopefully going to be seeing these actors portraying these characters for possibly years at a time, I think that it's beneficial that you don't know them from previous works, and you can just attach yourselves as a fan to the character as opposed to the actor playing the character.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, I think that is one thing Gen V has over The Boys. Um, but the one thing Gen V doesn't have is a Homelander, and I think
Fuck Homelander.
the fact that Carl Urban's a great Billy Butcher, the character is awesome.
Carl
But the
Urban's a great everything.
but the
I
boys wouldn't be the boys without Homelander.
No, it wouldn't.
Uh, and he's such iconic in that role that and there's not a lot of, even great shows don't really have a super iconic character that can hold the whole show up. And I think that is the one thing, one of the main things that has The Boys over Gen V for me.
Well, not only is he a character that holds it all together, he's a villain more or less. I mean,
Yeah, he's the
and
villain.
and he's such an iconic, like you say, just even the style of his character. I mean, if nobody has seen the show The Boys or never seen a picture of it or anything like that, the best way that I can possibly describe him is if Superman and Captain America had a baby, and he is just this evil son of a bitch.
Pretty much.
Like, that is the best way that I could describe Homelander. And the guy who plays him, whose name his name escapes me right now, does it to an absolute T.
Anthony Starr.
Okay. He does it so well playing that character that, again, it's going to be one of those things where if he does something else, it's going to be that's Homelander, not that's Anthony Starr, or you know what I mean, or this new character that he's playing. It's just going to be, oh, that's Homelander.
Yeah, I think he just typecast himself as being a bad guy. I think it works if he's a bad guy. Nobody wants to see him as a good guy. Just because he works so well as a bad guy. He's
I mean, you know what? I wouldn't say that's necessarily true, because going back to TV shows now, this is going to be a little bit, but that's how that's how I felt about Zachary Quinto when I used to watch Heroes. And yet now Zachary Quinto can play all. I mean, he's Spock, for Christ's sake. So I think he might end up being typecast for a little while, but if he wants to act as a hero and a protagonist and things like that, I think he could do it. It just might take some time for him to kind of shed that ultimate villain role and persona that people are going to know him as.
Going to get offered a hell of a lot of villain roles for a while, until he gets that one role that breaks the mold for him.
Yeah,
you know, that steps outside of that whole villainy. And I think he's a strong enough actor. He could definitely play any kind of role he wants, but he's just so good at being an asshole.
Yeah, I agree. But so I think we've kind of covered basically everything there is that we wanted to cover, at least from the main storyline from this first half of the first season of Gen V. So if you want to share some of your final thoughts or and your rating for this, and then next week we're going to get back and do the last four.
Yeah, I remember loving the first. I mean, each episode I thoroughly enjoyed. By the end of the fourth episode, not only did I want to continue that much more, I was upset that I couldn't just binge it. uh, for the first four episodes, I think I would give it. I'd say a 9. When it comes to flaws, none really stand out to me, other than some of the actors are not as strong as some of these really strong actors in the show, and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Other than that small nitpick, this is a very, very well put together show. I can't recommend it enough. If you're into the boys, if you've seen the boys and you like the boys, you'll feel the exact same way with Gen V.
Yeah, I was going into this. I think spectacle is the wrong. Oh, maybe not the wrong. I'll say that I was a little bit skeptical because I am such a big fan of The Boys, and just thinking, even though I know it's in the same world and kind of the same vein as that show, um, knowing that it was a university, a college type thing, I was assuming the feel was going to be different, and I was right. The feel is very different, but I was also worried that because it was going to have a different feel, that I was going to like it less, or I was going to feel that it kind of detracted from the show as a whole. And I'm very glad to say that I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm personally going to give this a 9 as well. I think that this show is fantastic, and I am super excited to watch the second half of the season and continue on from there. Um, and I would, like you say, I couldn't recommend it enough either. I think if you haven't watched it, I think you should go log into your Amazon Prime. If you don't have Amazon Prime, get Amazon Prime and watch this show, because, like you said, if you like The Boys, if you like superheroes, if you like action, good storytelling, any of that, um, and you can handle a little bit of blood and a little bit of gore here and there, I think that you will love this show. And
Yeah, like right now. I mean, like, share this podcast, and then fucking download or get a subscription if you don't have it, and watch it immediately. Drop everything and watch this shit because it deserves your undivided attention.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like you say, I hadn't seen that it was confirmed, but I'm really glad when you said it's confirmed for a second season, because I mean, hopefully it won't take that long for it to come out, but because I hate binging these shows and then having to wait a year or two to watch the next season.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if they're smart, they'll have it almost with almost a month or two wait in between seasons of The Boys. So we'll get like that, and then we'll get like like a month or two wait, and then we'll get Gen V. Hopefully, if they're smart, they'll work it that way. That
I
way,
would
there's not.
assume that's what they're probably going to aim for, because they're going to want to get they're going to want to get the fans of The Boys to continue in with it and things like that, because like you say, if you're a fan of one, I can't see you not liking the other.
Yeah.
Um, but that is going to do it for us for this episode. And like I said, we will be back next week to discuss the final 4 episodes of season 1 of Gen V. And before we get into our Christmas month that will follow that. So as always, you can subscribe and follow us the podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Podcast Addict, and rate and review to let us know what you guys think. And we will be setting up a YouTube channel. I don't know if there's going to be any videos up there, but we will be posting the episodes up there in audio format, and maybe one day we might do something on camera. Haven't really discussed that or thought about that too far ahead at this point, but we will be getting that set up in the next week or so. And if you guys want to reach out to us, we are on Twitter or X at geeked_podcast with a capital G. We just put up an Instagram account. It's Geeked Out Pod. And if you want to email us, it's geekedoutpod@gmail.com. Get a hold of us. Let us know what you guys think, and let us know what you think of Gen V, and how you think you would fare in that world. Because if I'm telling you, if I had any of those abilities, I don't think I'd want to go anywhere near that university or Vought in general. I would just live my own life and try and stay as far away from that shit as I possibly could.
Yeah, I would at least try and do my own thing, but who knows? Who knows what would happen if I had ultimate power like that?
Unfortunately, I don't think anybody is ever going to find that out because I don't think that's even remotely possible. But that's why we have these shows so that we can disappear into these worlds and imagine. So that'll be all for this week, and I want to say thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing any of your feedback, and we will see you again next week. Take care, everybody.
Peace.